Yeah, so this is one of the spots I used to stay at. And I'd roll my sleeping bag up against that wall and I'd sleep over there. And it'd be, I'd have to kind of like half sleep because you got a lot of people around here that will run up on you and try to steal your belongings. But one of my friends on the street that I made, that his name is John, this used to be where we used to bunkie at. So it used to be my bunkie when I was out here. Quite a bit of involvement in alcohol and drug use when I was a kid around me. Although I wasn't into it at that age, I grew up in that environment. And so my dad actually said, well, have you thought about the Navy? Because I wanted to be a hard hat diver as a kid. So I ended up talking to a recruiter and joining the Navy. And the guy that they had me staying with, turns out that he was quite an excellent chef in his own right. He cooked methamphetamine. And he was doing it in our barracks. And it was in my system, and I ended up getting kicked out of the Navy for meth. I go back home to my parents' house, and I'm living with them, and I'm really like, the anger inside of me was overwhelming about all of that. And my mom and dad are starting to get really upset about it because I'm floundering, and I'm not doing anything except drink myself half to death. I go through this program, get a sponsor, and I'm working a program in Alcoholics Anonymous, and I stayed sober 8.5 years. Walked away from all of it. Ended up on the streets of Costa Mesa, California. This area in here in Santa Ana was like this is where I hit my bottom at, And everybody says you got to hit a bottom to sober up. For me, it was like when you stop digging, that's when you're done, So that's kind of the picture.
Does it feel good to be back in a stronger mode?
Yeah, much better. Because that's not who I am, you know what I mean? That's not my dreams and aspirations. Being screwed up on the streets of Santa Ana, not my dreams, not my hopes. I'm glad I'm gotten to a place in my heart and in my mind where I'm willing to walk out of it. I'm sitting on the plaza deck of this big mega church that's down there. I had a gentleman walk up to me and said, can we talk? And I said, yeah, and it's Brian Peterson, and he's an artist. And he said, I want to know your story, and I told him my story.
You were definitely ready to have a conversation. You were approachable. You were responsive. You were friendly.
He said, I want to paint you. And so he shot a picture of me and painted me, and I became the third person, as far as I'm aware, in this project he does called Faces of Santa Ana.
I just noticed that you were like thinking about your future. Like you had plans, and you were fighting through the plans in your sobriety. But I saw you as someone that was actively pursuing his dreams in spite of all the adversity you were facing. And so that pose of like seeing you like thinking, I don't know, it just struck me like I believe in his thoughts, I believe in his plans.
So when I first saw the painting, it brought me to tears because no one ever looked at me like there was anything possibly beautiful about me. And I mean, even to the tune of my own family, you know what I mean? I was still in the streets of Costa Mesa, but one day he came to me and he said, look, I'm going to do a presentation at this church. They want to meet you guys. And I said, okay. And I got in the car with him and he took us to Newsong. And for the first time in my life, I felt like no matter what, I was in a group of people who were going to love me. And it didn't matter how broken I was or how hurt, that I could just, it was okay to be hurt. And it was okay to be broken. Like that commitment in the heart of Newsong that we're going to love you no matter what has been invaluable to me. I can't even put to words how valuable it is. Especially in a context where you don't really love yourself very much. And I think that's probably my biggest problem. Self-forgiveness, I think. It's taken a season of going through this process of trying to recover, where I've had some pretty, from the outside looking in, pretty ugly setbacks. But the truth of the matter is that there's actually quite a bit of progress in my recovery, and I'm now at the stage where I can talk about most of it. You know, there's things in my childhood where I've been hurt by my family. And the problem with me is that I have not processed that correctly. So I'm not healing from it correctly. And I'm trying to do that. Probably the thing I would tell myself as a child is that what you're going through, what you're going to go through, is a training ground for what God's going to have you do as your life work. At the age of 50, I know what that's supposed to be. I believe it's supposed to be trauma counseling. I've experienced a lot of what kind of trauma kids are going to have to go through. I don't really know what it entails, but I want to look into it and hopefully get situated where I could either work in a drug and alcohol rehab or do a practice where I'm helping specifically trauma patients with the police or whatever. And there's a guy that goes to our church, Sean, that he told me you need to learn to see yourself the way God sees you. And that's been my goal ever since I heard him say that. And I think now I'm starting to see myself that way. And some of it, you know, seeing my own brokenness, I'm not happy about. But I also know our God is bigger than that, you know. So I'm in love with Jesus, and I know he's going to heal me, and I know I'm on the right path, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's kind of all I can do, you know.